without, as you know, and what your listeners may or may not know is that integrative medicine is very individualistic
Okay.
because I could have 50 kids with autistic spectrum and they all look slightly different. And they all have different findings, different clinical issues, they have different laboratory findings. But, however, having said that, there are certain trends that you can find. The bottom denominator, what I find with most kids with complex chronic health issues, is that their guts are a mess. And when I mean that, is a couple things that I find. Number one, they often have leaky gut or intestinal permeability.
Hmm.
They often have something called dysbiosis, which is an abnormal microbiome where their germs in their gut are out of balance and they have too many bad bugs compared to the beneficial bugs.
Right.
Some of them may have reflux, where their food comes up to the back of their throat and then goes back down. No bueno, not a good thing.
Hmm.
And they often have nutrient deficiencies that are often correctable. In addition, they often have some common genetic issues, such as methylation issues, which is an issue with detoxification. So a mom could have 5 children and only one of them gets into trouble. Why is that? Well, perhaps the one who got into trouble was the one with the genetic methylation issue,
Right.
super common, for example, with kids on the spectrum
Hmm.
and other types of sensory and neuroprocessing disorders. So those things can be looked at and they're paid by for insurance. Insurance will cover those costs.
Hmm.
Going down some of these integrative pathways can be expensive for families.
Right.
So we try to be cognizant of not bankrupting families as they heal their children. So what we do is, what we say is, can you go organic? If you can't go organic, can you at least avoid the dirty dozen? And
Yeah.
I give them websites like Environmental Working Group.
Hmm.
If they can't do all that, can you at least not buy GMO food, which is corn, soy, and canola? Because you can wash off a green pepper that's been sprayed,
Hmm.
but you can't wash off corn because the pesticide's in the corn.
Right.
It's been genetically modified to be a pesticide itself.
Right.
So if can we do that? Can they get a simple water filter, like a pitcher that you put in the fridge?
Hmm.
Can maybe they can do that. If they can, they purchase probiotics. I have almost all my patients on probiotics.
Hmm.
And if they can't, it's too expensive. Can they make fermented foods?
Okay.
Can they do that? Okay. So what can a family do? Now, once you start to heal the internal environment, you have to heal the external environment.
Hmm.
Remember, the average woman puts on 20 products per day. So, what we have to do is take shoes off at the door. Dust is some of the most toxic stuff in people's houses. Shoes off at the door.
Right.
Decrease the use of products, both personal care, cleaning, kitchen products. Cut it all back.
Hmm.
Half that stuff we don't have. 90% of that stuff we don't need. So be very tentative to the most, clean, environmentally friendly, natural stuff you can get. And watch out for that word natural. It's almost meaningless.
Hmm.
And if you can't pronounce the name on the ingredient bottle, chances are you shouldn't be using it.
Right. Right.
So we do that. So we want to rebalance the internal milieu, the external milieu, do both of those. And then we focus in on food and pesticides in the book. But there are so many toxicants. You talk about it in your book. It's everywhere. Can they start to look at things like EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies? Kids should not be on their laptops before bed. Period.
Hmm.
Shut them down.
Hmm.
Cell phones in the pocket. Absolutely not. But if I could get my kids to change that, it would be a miracle. Think, things like that. Can we do that? And so these are the things we need to look at. But when families start, you can overwhelm a new family. So start low and slow.
Hmm.
And I don't give a mom or a dad more than 3 things to do at once. Too
Right.
many.
This is too
Too
over.
many.
Yeah.
It's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so they'll be running out of the door out of my office like, oh my God, this woman's out of her mind.
Hmm.
So start with the food, bring in the water. I start to bring in the probiotics. I start to treat the gut. I start to add in layers of various treatments to heal the leaky gut, rebalance the microbiome, restore the nutrients, remove the toxicants, whether they're pesticides, heavy metals, plastics, whatever toxins and toxicant varieties a kid may have. And then I use a lot of fat in their diets to heal their neurologic system.
Okay.
So this is kind of an umbrella kind of view, and most kids will fall under the umbrella.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Those are really good places to start. And I agree. It's like no more than 3 things to do at a time is just too much for most people.
I mean, the idea is to get people on board
Right.
and embrace some changes and not to scare them, because if people get into a mode of fear, and we even cover this in the book, there's also this learned helplessness, like, oh, it's impossible, I might as well give up because I can't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't want to, and what are we doing? I mean, that if I do that, what have I done? I've
Right.
done nothing good, right?
Right.
So it's the question I always ask, what can this mom handle?
Mhm.
Everybody's different,
Right. Right. That's a
right?
great place to start for sure. And then, as you say, there's always layers and there's always something else potentially to look in. Although, that could be enough for a lot of kids. So,
For some kids, that will begin to turn them around, and then their
yeah.
own body's natural ability to heal will kick in
Hmm.
if you can just begin the process.
Right.
And also, and let's not forget de-stressing our children as well.
Mhm.
When parents' own stress level comes down, kids will also decrease their stress level.
Right. That's so true. I always
One interview,
you got to get the moms involved in this too, right? It's not just,
oh my God, yes, moms are stressed.
yeah.
When this one interviewer asked us what's making our children sick, and I said parents. Yeah, we all need to take some deep breaths,
Yeah.
lower our own stress level, do some yoga, do some breathing,
Yeah.
right? Good. Sit in the car before you pick up little Susie from soccer,
Yeah.
3 minutes of deep breathing and, cleansing your mind before you pick her up.
Mhm.
Yes,
Good
we
sleep.
have to, yes, good sleep. We have to de-stress as moms as well.
Early bedtimes for everybody.
Everybody in bed at 5 o'clock. No, no.
Not that early, but yeah. But yeah.
So yes, this is some of the things we can do.
Yeah. And some things don't cost a whole lot of money, or some things are free.